Hey, what's up guys? I'm Brad Utterstrom, and I wanted to introduce a little project here that I'm working on. I came up with the idea last month that what I wanted to do, because I've been working on pastel stuff a lot over the just a month or so. It's new-ish to me. I've done pastel throughout my life, but probably in my entire life I've done 25 to 30 pastel drawings and never really explored it, like looked at other pastel artists to see what they're doing and what I like about it and things like that. So I wanted to get into it more. It became this new obsession in my art and a direction I turned, and so I decided that for September I want to draw pastel. The goal basically was this: I want to do something every day in pastel. Sometimes that's just a quick sketch, sometimes it's several. I'm doing almost all sketch cards, artist trading cards, which is small, standard trading card size. Here's the first one. I'm going to go through them. Let's see here. That's the first one I did on day one. This is one of my favorite places in the world. It's in Maui, and it's called 5 Graves, 5 Caves. This is a photo I took. You can see the little turtle right there. Sorta. Man, I wish that it didn't have the glare, but I don't know that there's a better solution. They're in the penny sleeves to keep the pastel dust from getting all over the place. So anyway, so every single day I've been doing at least one, and then what happened is I posted on Susan Jenkins' Facebook group, Monet Cafe, which is a fantastic group. There's a lot of activity there, a lot of pastel artists sharing their work and getting tips from each other and things like that. So I posted there that I wanted to do this every day, and several other people said, hey, I want to do that too. And then one of them posted, hey, there's already this kind of art movement. It wasn't a pastel thing, but an artist, Leslie Sata, I think is how you say her name. I should have looked this up to make sure I get the details right. She does a podcast, an art podcast, like Artists Helping Artists or something. I've listened to a couple episodes and it's really good, but I hadn't heard of her before this. But she's already got this little movement going that in September called 30 Paintings in 30 Days. And I was like, okay, well, that kind of works for me. I'll just say I'm doing that too, which is funny because I've been doing that, but her idea was that you do a painting a day. So you paint every day and you do one finished painting. It has nothing to do with pastel. It's whatever your medium is. And I was like, well, in the course of the month, I'm going to have 30 somethings to show. Some of what I've done some days is just a quick 10-minute scribbling on sandpaper to try out a new technique or a color combination or something. But most days what I do is I sit and do 1 or 2 or 3 of these artist trading cards or sketch cards that are like that. That's, if you're on my channel, you probably already know that I'm a sketch card artist and I do mostly artwork for trading card companies that is that size. So that's why I'm leaning towards that size, even though it's not very standard for pastel work to be so small. So far I'm doing it A, because that's what I do. I consider myself a sketch card artist, and B, because the pastel papers are expensive. And I'm finding that as I explore a little bit more, I really only like the sanded papers, even the Canson, which is a pastel paper, Miton, I think is how you pronounce it. I don't really like working on it. It doesn't hold any layers. Let's see. This is going to be a long video just because I like to ramble. This would probably work better if I was drawing at the same time, so you're not just staring at my mug while I ramble on. But I'm kind of figuring most people who are going to watch this are working on their own art anyway and just listening along. But I am going to show what I've got up to this point and talk just a little bit about it. My idea was, like I said, I'm kind of combining the I'm going to do pastel every day with I'm going to do 30 paintings in a month at least. And I think I've actually already got 30 cards that I would consider, you know, as complete as they're going to be. So, and it's the 19th today, so I'll end up with, you know, 40 or 50, which is fine. I haven't even, it's funny, Leslie Sata has on her website or her blog, you can upload your art. And I went to do that the first day, or early on anyway, and I was having a really hard time because I've got to transfer the photos that I'm taking of my work from my phone to my computer, and then when I uploaded a couple, they showed up upside down, and I was fitzing with it, and I was like, I'll just come back to it and try a different one later. And then I didn't, even though I'm doing the challenge. So anyway, day one was 5 graves, 5 caves. I'll just flip through them. And these aren't in order. I knew that was the one I did the first day. Probably should have tried to order them. These are really random. In fact, this one, I'm not 100% this was done this month, but I have like 3 or 4 sunsets that are similar to this, and I know at least one of them was done this month. I think it's that one. And I also have a YouTube video of not that one, but one of the ones that's similar to it. Yeah, this is another one that's really similar. Might have even been from the same little photo shoot. This was on sandpaper. It was too gritty. I did not like how it worked, and you can see how much of the sandpaper shows through, because when I was working on it and I like tapped my drawing board to knock off some of the sand, and the sandpaper, like, I'm talking, when I say sandpaper, it's cheap hardware sandpaper, not art paper, and it just knocked off. And this one is also on the cheaper sandpaper, 150 grit. It's not impossible to work on. In fact, Susan Jenkins did an awesome video, which is what made me go out and buy some of that sandpaper, and hers turned out great. One of the biggest differences, she did an underpainting, which I think helped smooth out the grit of the paper and fill in some of those gaps, and so you don't just get the tan paper showing through even if the dust kind of falls off. So anyway, I'm steering clear of the sandpaper. I think this is actually, yeah, this is also on sandpaper too, but this is 400 grit. The black ones are either 400 or 600, and those I'm working on fairly regularly. And the glare is bothering me. You also don't see the vibrant colors, but that's not the end of the world. You can see all these on my Instagram or Facebook or in the Facebook group too. Oh, I should show these. So I did the video of this one. If you're on my YouTube, you can go back. It's like an hour long. I showed the whole thing, start to finish, that I was working on. And then I actually stayed up and did this one, same scene, wildly different colors. I maybe like this one better. No, not quite, but I liked that. This one I did much quicker, and I actually took a video of that and just realized today that I never did post it. And I probably won't. If I do, I'll if I do, I'll tell you what'll happen is I'll take this sound and put it over it so that you actually have something to look at too. That would be funny now that I'm actually... No, that's not going to work because I'm showing you these, so never mind. But I was thinking I would, if I post that, I'll do an overlay, just the dialogue. Anyway, I'm not going to do that. There's another one that's got to be Hawaii. Most of these are going to be either Hawaii, or there's actually a surprising number from Australia, which my wife went to, and so I stole a bunch of her pictures. And then there's also a series here. The last few days I did a calling for reference photos on my Facebook. I just said, hey, I'm kind of bored of the reference photos I had gathered of my own work, and I'm reusing some of them, like that one I showed a minute ago. I did 2 different styles, and I will do that. But I was like, you know, if you have a cool photo, like a landscape type thing, post it up here. I might draw it. And cool, thanks. So I do have some like that coming up. See, here's one of the ones that's definitely from Australia. I liked how this turned out. Again, the color's not coming in great. Oh well, just gonna roll with it anyway. Another Australia. I think I at some point had these kind of in order so that the... Oh, this is... So these two, Again, I think one of these I did last month, but one of them for sure is this month, and I don't know which is which. These are the same spot. You can see the same tree. I just tried different colorations. I think this is the newer one that's from this month, and I think this might be last month. This is a spot that's right down the road, and I walk my son by there almost every day, and I sit and have drawn that spot several times, and will draw it several more for sure, because it's a real easy spot that's cool, a cool little landscape. And I actually have a vision in my head I'm definitely going to do at some point. I've been thinking this over for the last week every time I walk by. I thought about using this scene, but instead of this kind of boring field that's here, putting a stream of water through it that doesn't actually exist. So I'll try that at some point too. Now that you're going to see the few that take a little bit of a different turn. This is a tortoise that was I think it was at the zoo in Hawaii. When I first posted it on Instagram, I errantly said it was at the Oregon Zoo, because we went to the Oregon Zoo like the day before, or that day maybe that I drew it. And they have a couple tortoises, and I just thought that was from the last time I went to the zoo. And then my wife was like, I think that's from the Hawaiian Zoo. And I was like, oh my god, you're right. Anyway. Here's a polar bear. This I used mostly, well no, I didn't use, I started with pastel pencils on this. And it wasn't picking up on the sandpaper as well as I would like. And actually, I say sandpaper. This one is actually a sanded art paper, not hardware store sandpaper. But then I think I ended up going over with, I wasn't at home. I didn't want to get things too dirty, get the chalk dust everywhere. So I think I used just a few Conti crayons, which are like a harder pastel. I think they're pastels. I mean, they feel just the same as like new pastel, basically. Jawa. There's a few Star Wars ones coming up. This one I did real quick. I just wanted to throw some color down. And this must have been one of the first days that I got my Sennelier set, which is, I got just the smallest set because I wanted some nicer pastels to work with. This one I'm a little embarrassed to show. I like things about it, but it's actually supposed to be Princess Leia, and I didn't get the likeness really at all. And that's usually my strong suit, but it's a whole different ballgame with pastel, especially this small, right? I've drawn Princess Leia many times, and I know I can get her likeness better than that, but it didn't turn out that way. Here's a Lobot, another Star Wars one. This is one of my favorites. The colors really pop on that if you're, actually looking at it. I'm using my webcam that comes on my laptop, so I'm going to show you this two ways. Actually, let's do this. I'm going to reverse a couple of these. Anyway, I've not used this webcam before. I usually have a different webcam that's probably higher quality. I wonder if I should have just used it. I'm now 15 minutes in almost. I'm not going to switch it now. But I wonder if I should have just used that, even though I'm facing it at me instead of at my art. So I also, like I said, I'm trying to experiment a lot with this month and into the future, but something that I've never been interested, well, boy, I should say, until the last 2 months, I've never been interested in landscapes even. And all of a sudden, I'm like, it's like this new world opened up to me, so I'm doing landscapes and having a blast with it. But another thing I've never particularly enjoyed or been interested in as an artist is abstract art. But then there's stuff like this that I love. This is, a painting my wife had in the house before I ever came. And I love the colors and stuff like that. So I was like, one of the things I love about pastel is this, the vibrant nature of the colors and the painterly style of marks. And I was finding that even the landscapes and the portraits and stuff that I find in pastels that I like lean more towards the abstract style, like Marla Baguetta's stuff. So I was like, maybe I'll do something completely abstract. So this is just a card. It's tiny. Did I even have it? I don't know which way I intended this to be. I think I drew it right side up like that. But then I was like, which way do I even turn it? Does it look better one way? I don't really know what I'm doing. It's just abstract, but it was kind of fun to throw some colors down and make some marks. And this one I did, I think, probably like the next day or a couple days later, and it's eerily similar in ways. I think I drew this one that way. To this one, I didn't realize it till I looked at them side by side, but there's some definite similarities. And then another abstract that I did. I wanted to go with a lighter color palette this time. I'm trying to at least be aware of composition when I'm doing these, and some color, like the way colors interact. But I'm certainly brand spanking new at abstract art, and I'm looking at these and doing them and going, am I wasting my time here? Am I just making a bunch of scribbly marks on a page, or is it even artistic at all? And I do kind of like at least something about each of those. Now, right after I did this one that I just showed, same night, I was like, this has me kind of thinking, like I was kind of envisioning drawing a portrait over that and having that be the background. So then I pulled up the Sketchy app. It's SKTCHY. There's no E. It's Sketchy, but there's no E. It's a really cool app where people upload photos and or art and share them. And anyway, so whenever I'm looking for reference photos for portrait stuff, and I don't care if it's somebody I know or whatever, I'll go on there and just grab something. So I did that one. I thought, hey, let's go the next step and do a portrait, and I wanted it to be really abstract, and so I looked up Sketchy. The keyword I searched for was beard. Found this dude with this awesome beard. I'm showing it upside down because I drew it upside down, and I did it quickly. Probably 10 minutes on this. I really just didn't care about the likeness at all. I just wanted it to be abstract, and that's what it looks like right side up. And I was pretty happy with how this turned out. And then a couple days later, I tried another one off of Sketchy. I tried to have that same, spontaneous, colorful, abstract feel to it. And I think it was so bad I threw it straight away. I've done that like 3 times this month. So that is all the ones that I have already cut up and cut down to size and put into the little penny sleeves, but I've also got a few more to show here that aren't yet in penny sleeves, and these are the ones that I've done most recently, because I haven't done that process with them yet, so the last 2 or 3 or 4 days. So let's see what's in here. I'm using, it's funny, my little system here. Oh, I never showed this one on anywhere. It's a little Star Wars scene. Didn't love it. Didn't turn out great with pastels, but that was the night that I threw that other one away and just wasn't really happy with anything. And then I did this that night, which is better. It's an Australia tree with a lot of character. I'll probably draw that one again because I do like the tree and I didn't do it justice. But I did this one because I had gone into the night trying to experiment more and be looser, and I was frustrated after a couple tries. And I was like, I do as much time as I've put in tonight. I want to at least have something to show at the end of the night. So I did that one, which seemed a little safer and more normal. And now I'm at the point where I started asking for reference photos. So here's this one. My buddy Mike Boom. You can at least see the colors better when they're not in the penny sleeves. It shows up a lot more vibrant on my screen than the other ones did. My buddy Mike Boom, a high school friend. I haven't seen him in almost 20 years, since we graduated probably. He's a photographer, and he posted this photo on Instagram a couple weeks ago that I loved. I said, hey, can I draw that? He's like, cool, do it. So I went back, I did that, and then right after that I said, I'm going to try the same photo, just get a little more abstract with the colors and the marks and looser. This one I did much quicker. For the most part, I feel like I like the purple one better than the more realistic, localized color one. But that's this type of scene that I really like, that you can get kind of loose with. And that's the closest right there, those two, probably, to me feeling like I'm getting close to the style I want in this one. And, you know, feeling like something successful at least. You know, this is fun and expressive and energetic. And the rest of these, I think, here are going to be from the last couple days when like I said, I was asking for reference photos for anybody who wanted me to draw their stuff. And that was another artist, yeah, Lisa Stevens. She mostly does watercolor. She was on my kickball team, and her brother's one of my friends. And anyway, this is a reference photo from Stephanie Wiggins, who I used to work with. This one I did not do justice to the photo. It still turned out alright. I overworked it to the point, it's on cheap sandpaper. I overworked it to the point that I couldn't get my color to lay down anymore. I had filled up the grit of the paper and the tooth of the paper to the point that it wouldn't take any more color. And I have my little shopping list. Workable fixative is on my shopping list because you can spray it and keep working, give a little grit back to the paper. So I stopped. I wanted the water to be more vibrant, but I was mildly happy with it. This reference photo is by my best friend, Pat Wilson. Pretty cool photo of trees, looking up at the trees. I don't know where it is. He probably was on a hike or something. That one I feel like I could redo with way more abstraction. I was staying pretty close to the colors and shapes that I was seeing. This one is Gary Eugene was the reference photo, or they at least gave me the photo. I guess I don't know for sure if he took it, but anyway. I fitzed with this one a lot. This photo had, I don't have a free hand to show you, it had like these reflections that I think happen on a photo but not, you don't see it in real life, so it had these like sunbeams going diagonally across all the way from one side to the other and from the top to the bottom, and I had initially drawn those in and I didn't like them, and then I tried to work them away, you know, get rid of them by reworking that area with more purples and blues, which I was able to do somewhat successfully. But then what happens is, in doing that, I kind of covered up any of the spontaneous, you know, energetic marks that I had that I liked. So I wasn't real thrilled with how that one ended, but again, it's a quick test and experiment. And then right after that, so this is the last thing I've done. I did this last night about 1 a.m. I did that one, and this is a made up skyscape, seascape, whatever. I mean, I had just done that one, so I had in my head this kind of vision of the mountains, you know, a hillside in the back and this lively sky and reflections sort of in the water. So this, I actually wasn't looking at any reference, but I certainly had, it's kind of a generic looking scene, which, like I said, that's what I like. I like that type of scene as far as landscapes go. So that's pretty much gets you up to date with what I did this month, or what I've done this month so far. One of the things I'm definitely going to do before the month is over is work a little bit larger. I don't want to do any huge paintings. I don't want to do anything that I'm using that much materials on, or that's going to take me a long time, or anything like that. But I do want to stretch a little larger. You know, sketch cards and working trading card sized. Oh, I'm at 25 minutes. Sorry. So I'm apologizing because I didn't mean for you guys to have to sit through 25 minutes of rambling. I was going for like 10 to 15. I knew that showing each one was going to take longer, and that's fine. And I'm going to probably ramble for at least another 5 minutes trying to wrap up what I'm saying here, because I wanted to do more videos. It's just harder for me to get the camera set up and draw and have that added pressure of doing something cool in front of the camera, versus especially when I'm just trying to experiment and cut loose a little bit. What was I just saying? Wow. So, one of the things I want to do is work a little bit larger. And I was thinking 5x7, and I'll probably do that. It's a standard size to find frames, and it's also still about the same proportion if I wanted to print up trading cards or anything like that. And then I got to thinking, and this is just a brainstorm, it's not a brand new idea that nobody else has come up with, but it's brand new for me because I usually do fan art and sports art and stuff like that. But I got to thinking, I'm doing pastel landscapes, stuff that's closer to like the realm of fine art, and I was like, why not do postcards or greeting cards, like blank greeting cards? Because I like to look at my own body of artwork as a set, as a collection, and I like to have a printed copy of that. But that's one of the reasons I work small. I keep a trading card collection, so I can make up prints, and my business cards are trading cards that I can flip through and see my art and show other people and hand out. And so I'm trying to transfer that whole concept and that whole idea of making it a collection with the pastel work that I'm doing, and it doesn't transfer as well. Pastel is not, it's not that it's not intended to be drawn this small size. It's more that there's a lot of limitations on it. It's one of the things that's beautiful about pastel, like, is the, getting the motion and energy into it. Karen Margulis is another one of my favorite pastel artists. She's got a video where she's doing this storm cloud thing, and it's like, she's got this music in the background. I love the music. I'll have to see what it is. I would actually like to listen to it, but she's like dancing to the music and getting into the groove, and her husband's asking her questions, and she's like, shut up, I'm getting the groove. She didn't say groove. But anyway, and she wasn't rude. I'm just kidding. But that, working large, you can do that, right? Working small, you really can't. And I want to be expressive with my marks and stuff, but at the same time, work small, and that's hard to do. So anyway, even if I went up to like a 5x7, it would give me a lot more leeway to be doing that stuff, to paint, not draw. Is pastel a painting medium or a drawing medium? There's somewhat of a debate about that. I usually say draw, even though I know that it's usually painting. But anyway, I've heard that Marla Baguetta says it for sure, and I've heard other people say it too, I think. Paint, don't draw. Meaning, you don't want to get in there and make... I almost grabbed a screwdriver that's in front of me. This is drawing, right? You don't want to get in there with these kind of marks. You want to get expressive with it. So don't draw, even if you're drawing a barn, don't draw like that. Take the side of the pastel and make these broader strokes to get the shape in there. And I want to do that more, and I'm hoping my work is starting to show that in some of these, but I definitely get caught up going into if I'm working this small and working with these big blocky pastels that don't have a point on it, and then I'm trying to put in a detail that needs to be there, or that needs to be, at least the shapes need to be reasonably accurate, I find myself drawing them in more often than I want to. So I guess I could ramble on as long as anybody will, as long as the camera will keep running, but I guess at some point I should wrap it up, and that pretty much gets me caught up to where I am this month. I'm going to try and work a little larger. I'm going to put in another order for some new papers, some new sanded papers. I want to try UArt. I want to get more pastel mat. I have this much pastel mat left, which is probably my favorite surface to work on so far. I have 3 little cards I can do. I have a stack here though of sandpapers, and I do have plenty to work on. This is my hardware sandpaper. I cut them down to size already. Some of these I cut to actually 2.5 by 3.5. Some of them I cut larger with like these with the little border in there, but then what I end up doing is I like the little border, but then I have to cut it back down to fit it into a penny sleeve to get it into my collection and all that. And so I haven't figured out my exactly which system I like best. So I'm doing a little bit of both, using the little hinges of tape like I've seen some artists do. I've been doing that now, and that seems to work better for so I don't have to hold the card down while I'm drawing on it. I can tape it down and not tape over the corners. So that's why I've started cutting some of them all the way down to size. That's another thing. That's I could do a separate video on showing how I do that sort of thing. But alright guys, thanks for watching and for following. Like I said, I didn't post any of these on Leslie Sata's site. I probably still will try and go back and do that. But it's kind of like, here I did this challenge and I'm not reaping the benefits of getting my art out there to be shared with the other people who are doing it this way. But I'm posting everything up on Instagram at least, and I'm posting on the Monet Cafe group. And then I'm trying not to bombard my own Facebook with it, but I've been posting a few things, I posted maybe a couple times a week about it on Facebook. And there we go. I'll finish up the 30 paintings in 30 days, or 30 days of pastel painting is the case for me. And from there, I'm ready to keep expanding and exploring. And I think I'm going to stick with pastel. I don't think this is just a little... I wondered if it was just a little fad. I'm still going to do sketch cards and trading card artwork and stuff like that, and commissions. But I see my artwork heading in a new direction too. So we'll see where I land. I'm having a lot of fun with it, and I'm definitely more inspired and excited about art than I've been in a long, long time. So, alright. I'm Brad Utterstorm, according to B.C. Hefner. Please don't look that up. That's a whole nother story. Have fun, guys.